Check, check. Hey, how's it going? Thank you for doing this interview with me. I really do appreciate it. Yeah. All right, Mario, thank you so much for doing this interview with me. Please, let's just start. Introduce yourself. Where do you go to school? What do you study? And when will you graduate?
So my name is Mario Machuca. I am a fourth year right now, psychology major with a sociology minor, and I'm planning to graduate in the spring. So yeah, I only got one semester left, and I'm pretty excited to be done and just have a break. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Is this you've been in school for 4 years, or
hmm
it's gonna take 4 years?
Yeah. So this is my fourth year. I just finished my first semester of my fourth year. So yeah.
Okay. Now, why did you choose your major?
So it's a funny story. I actually chose criminal justice first. That was actually like my first major. Like growing up, I had this like obsession of like wanting to be like a secret agent or like want to be like an FBI, and you watch like Criminal Minds or whatever, and you want to be like you see all these people, and so it's like that sort of was in my head the whole time, like applying to schools. And this school actually had a really good criminal justice program,
Oh,
and so
really?
that was like one of the main reasons I came here. But and then it was like senior year, I took AP Psych senior year of high school, and for some reason, just like every topic, every concept was super interesting to me. But I was like, well, I can't really make this into like like a career or whatever. I don't know. And then I started like researching it more, and I got like a little bit more interested. And then I was like, I don't know. I was like, I got into like the summer before the summer before college, because I got into here with a criminal like as a criminal justice major. But then
Mhm.
on like the first day of orientation, they were like, well, you can always change your major like at any point, like your first couple years, just like while you're like trying to figure out things. So
Yeah.
I changed, or I took one of this criminal justice classes, and it's actually like my worst grade to date. Like it's like the only class I got a C in like in college.
Oh,
Like the
really?
rest, yeah. So it was like it's just like it wasn't connecting with me. I just like wasn't interested. Like it
Uh-huh.
was my first semester. I don't know. It just was not like fun for me. I didn't, and then I took a psych class on the others. Like I took them like together on the same semester, and I was getting like A's, like an easy A's in the psych class. And it was something that was super. It was a stats class too, and so it was
Okay.
something that was like, oh well, and then I started researching more into like careers. And I was like, well, there's a lot more like openness to like psych, right? So that's kind of why I like took the or changed my major, and then Psych 100 just sealed the deal, because it was something where like it gives you a whole like overview of like everything you're basically going to go through the next couple of years. You like get all
Yeah.
the concepts. And as for someone that like dealt like with mental health issues and stuff growing up, it was really interesting to like see the science behind it, and like how your brain works, and how like it like things can affect you, and how I can help other people if like I make this career and stuff. So that's basically why I chose psych. So
I
yeah.
see. Now, understanding all that has like kind of helped you, help people around you, and maybe even like yourself.
I definitely feel like my major makes my job a lot easier,
Mhm.
and like helping myself in terms of like mental health. But in terms of like helping others, like working here, I definitely feel um, like working with students and stuff, that like I'm able to like understand people on a little bit better like level, like see like people for like who they are, and like be able to like see like maybe they're being affected by all these other external factors you never thought of, especially with like my sociology minor, which helps with like looking at communities and how communities can impact you and that sort of thing. And so especially like coming from Riverside, where it's like the Riverside and Long Beach are two completely different communities, and so
Mhm.
being able to like see those differences and then use that to like apply to helping others has been really helpful for me. But in terms of like helping myself, I think it's been an amazing like turn for me, because I was really like I didn't have a lot of self-confidence or whatever. I didn't have a lot of like motivation growing up. And then
Uh-huh.
in terms of like looking at myself, like I always thought I could be better and stuff. But then psych helped me understand like why I think certain ways, or like the defense mechanisms I'm using, or like I've even taken like a psych of stress class where I was able to like look at what stress is and how I can like combat it in certain ways. And so I think this major like overall has been really helpful in terms of like everything like in my life. So
I see.
yeah,
Nice, nice. So tell me how your experience has been going at CSULB at Long Beach State. Can you tell me just like how your experience was before COVID, and then we'll get into how it's been going now?
for sure. So moving away, it was definitely like different for me because I was always used to like being in like big groups of friends like in high school and stuff. And so
Yeah,
moving here, I really didn't know anyone. And so like living in the dorms my first year was something that was like super exciting for me. I was like, oh, I'll get a roommate, I'll get like to meet a bunch of people. And it was really cool. I got to make a bunch of cool new friends in this building actually. Like this was the first building I lived in. This is the building I'm like finishing in. It's kind of crazy. But
Oh, what building are you in?
so I'm in building J.
Okay,
Yeah.
building J
Yes.
in like the
In
housing
Parkside.
part of campus.
Yeah, so it's like we have three colleges, like we call them colleges. They're like basically different like communities.
Okay.
So I live in Parkside College. It's mainly the one where freshmen live. But now working here, I work with a lot of freshmen and stuff. But yeah, so I definitely feel like my experience that first year was really eye-opening to me because it helped me like learn about bunch of people's backgrounds. Like there's a lot of NorCal people I was meeting, a lot of like people from out of state. I got to experience like so many new like perspectives and so many like instead of just like Riverside. Because I feel like when you live in Riverside, it kind of can be like a bubble in a sense. Like it's great and
Mhm.
stuff, but it's like it's so like everyone just like knows each other and we don't really like I don't know. There's not a lot of like perspective I can see. So just being able to move away and like see that
Yeah.
is really helpful. And I think diversity is actually one of like CSULB's biggest like talking points is like one of their main things they like to preach is that they like diversity in a sense. And so I thought that was really cool because now I have friends from all different backgrounds that I still talk to this day. I was literally talking to one of my like freshman roommates like literally 20 minutes before this interview. So it's like
Oh, really?
definitely impacts me like helping me build my community and like build like a friend group. And so and then throughout like my years like working here and stuff has been like a little bit easier for me to like go through the motions. But
Yeah.
um this school is definitely a commuter school. I mean,
Okay.
you probably know, I mean, San Marcos I feel like is kind of the same thing, kind of like commuter school
Yeah.
type. It's not really that like social norm college like experience that you like the frat row or whatever, like the
Yeah.
the big like everyone's always on campus and a thing. It's more of like you come to class and then you hang out with your friends like on the weekends, or you hang out like um outside of class. And so it was definitely easier for me to really adapt and keep friends because of I like work here and I live here and I
Mhm.
see people every day and so that sort of thing. But I can definitely see where some people can say that like they don't really meet as many people because they're not on campus as much, or they meet those core people in the beginning and then they just kind of stick with them. But I mean, I've had no issues here. I applied for this program my freshman year where I was able to. It's called the Beach Pledge Program. So basically, they want you out. It's like if you agree to graduate in 4 years, then they give you like priority registration, and they make sure that you get advising from like advisors and stuff.
Oh,
Which I
really?
thought I thought is really cool. Like
That is really cool.
every semester before I choose my classes, I get a counselor come in like is able to like help me and like really like talk to me about like what do I want to do, or like what classes should I take, or like in that sense. So I think that's made it really easy for me to really not have to deal with any of like a lot of people complain about like not getting classes. I've never had an issue about not getting a class. I've always
That's
had
really
like
cool.
solid schedules. I've never taken a Friday class in my
That's good.
entire
There you
literally
go.
in my entire like 4 years. I've only taken one 8 a.m. and then the rest I don't take like before like noon because that's just how my body works. I don't like learning before like noon.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think I've had like a pretty great experience here, and I've had literally no complaints.
Uh-huh.
Of course, we could have more sports programs. I mean, that's kind of like one of the main things. But
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of the cross country kids too here, so it's cool to like see them like race and stuff. And
Yeah. That is cool.
our volleyball team is crazy good, and so those are always really fun. So,
Mhm.
and I think one of the biggest things I like to when people ask me about like why CSLB is the location. Like we're in between the beach and LA. Like and there's like Anaheim around us. There's so many things around us like that are like 20-minute drive, 20-minute drive, 30-minute drive. It's not like there's nothing crazy. And then if I want to go home, 45 an hour drive. Like it's literally
Yeah.
perfect for me. Cause like if I, one day I'm like, feel like I really need some time home, just drive an hour home. Like it's really not that big a deal. Um,
How's the area around Long Beach?
that's also like where people like stigmatize. I feel like where it's like people think, oh, Long Beach like ghetto, like that type of like gang culture. But like
Uh-huh.
the where CSUB is located, we're right next to Seal Beach, which is kind of like the nicer part of Long Beach, in a
Mhm.
sense. So it's literally like there's people like I always when I'm going on my runs, I see like older people like with their like their pups or like their dogs like walking around, and there's like or I'll run down to by the pier and stuff, and they're just like chilling at their like beach houses and stuff. There, it's really like I you can find like places like where you're like questioning like wow, am I really in Long Beach because of just how beautiful it really looks.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, in terms of where this school is located, I don't see any like people always ask me that too. Is like, oh, is it safe? Like it's Long Beach. Like, is it
Yeah,
safe?
I know,
Like,
right?
that's what I get that so much. Like Garrett, he's at San Marcos right now, but when he was considering coming here, he's like, well, I don't really know. Like, is it safe over there? I was like, bro, look at me. Like I go out running. Like I look like a white boy, but I'm like a Mexican kid just goes out. Like I can go out anytime. I'll go like 5 or 6 p.m. I'll even go running. Like I don't have any. I go out and grab food all the time. I don't never
Yeah.
scared of anything. Like I love it here. But
That's
yeah,
cool. That definitely helps with that stigma, and I'm glad brought that up.
yeah,
So how is your experience going right now during COVID? Pretty much this whole semester.
yeah. It's definitely been a lot more difficult. I mean, just because I'm such a, like a social person to an extent, like I like being able to like have my freedom to go meet see people and stuff. And like one of my biggest the biggest things I loved about this job was being able to like meet and like communicate with people and be able to see people and live with people and like really build like a community. And it's been really difficult this semester just because I'm dealing with honors kids who are stressed because of COVID, but are also stressed because of like the intense classes that they're taking. They're like mainly STEM majors, and so it's like
Ooh.
it's definitely been harder for me to be like, hey, I'm like the psych kid, like I want to be friends. Like they're just like, no, I got like a lab, I got 5 exams, and I'm like, oh well, I think I got one final tomorrow. So it's like it's been pretty difficult to really like enjoy like building community and stuff. But in terms of like how Long Beach has adapted, I mean, I think I can't really complain a lot because I mean they still are giving meals. Like that's kind of like a safety hazard on their end. Like they're offering meals and cents and they're that's
Yeah.
contact with people, but they're doing it in a really safe way. There's always like you have to wear a mask, and there's always like they always switch out their gloves when they're like changing between meals and stuff.
Yeah.
And
Wait,
I think they
you
what's
said
up?
meals? You said meals like at your guys' like cafeteria or something like that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we have like a dorm,
Oh,
uh,
in your dorm, you guys got a cafeteria or something
so
like
it's
that?
like a separate building, but yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
basically, like because we decreased the size of our colleges, so we went from 3 colleges to one. So all
Okay.
of us are in one college, but we make it so that there's only a couple people per building. So there's not a lot of people. Like in my suite, so I share a bathroom with 3 people.
Uh-huh.
So it's not that crazy. And then when you go to the bathroom, you like put up a sign to make sure like no one else comes in. So you have the bathroom to yourself whenever you go in.
That's cool.
Um, but yeah, so basically like our cafeteria is like in the middle in like the center area, and we all the buildings are like around it.
I
So
see.
yeah.
I see. So in terms of you're pretty much doing school online. You're not going on campus at all, right?
No, the only times I go on campus are just to like de-stress because like the campus is open to like just like cruise around. So like the other day I was like, I need some fresh air. I've been playing games too much, like just sitting in my room. So
Yeah.
I grabbed my skateboard and I just went out and just started riding around campus. Cause I mean, I like honestly miss like walking around campus. Like it's honestly like
Yeah.
bittersweet, like seeing my senior year just like pass by and like not being able to like walk by. And like I used to like see my friends on the way to class and stuff. And so I kind of just like usually just like grab my AirPods and I'll just like either like go for a run like around campus, or I'll go and just walk through or skate through and just really just kind of chill and stuff.
Yeah. Um, Kind of want to ask you more about like the work that you're doing for school. Is it mainly just like, you go on a Zoom call like this and you're looking at your teachers talk and you have to do a bunch of discussion boards? Like what's all that like right now with like assignments and
So for psych, it's a lot of yeah Zoom calls. For me, half of my classes, so I took 4 classes. Half of them were like not mandatory,
Mhm.
And when I get that, it's like, like I could go to class, but I'm also someone where I like to work on my own time at like on my own timeline. I'm like actually motivated because like if I have like a lot of 5:30s, and like while I like enjoy like the time, it's not in the morning. I'd rather do that like on a Sunday and like at 1 p.m. when I'm just kind of like ready to grind. So I
Yeah.
thought that's been really helpful that they've been able to record their lectures, and so like even let's say if like a student's working or like they have other commitments, they have like family like issues, they can always go back and like look at the lectures. And so for my other two classes though, they've been really helpful about like being super like on top of like being ready to do Zoom. And like I thought like even like I have a lot of older professors who like I feel like I've been struggling, but I've been like doing their best to like really get like accommodated to like the new Zoom culture, because
Yeah.
they're like for me, I'm like just start the Zoom, like share screen, like I'm like watching them like click through the things. Like it's easier for me. I have like two monitors set up. I'm like ready. Like I could go and host this right now if I wanted to, but I thought they've done a really good job. A lot of my assignments, yeah, are like I feel like they've definitely like not dumbed down, but like decreased the amount of assignments just to, like,
Okay.
you know, be a little bit more empathetic, just because we are in a pandemic. And like not to disrespect like the not to disregard the like the teaching, like they still like present and give enough like of the information. But one of my classes was just all exams, which like I was kind of down for because it's just like you're not any a lot of busy work, and then
Yeah.
they offered like extra credit and stuff. But then a couple of my other classes were just a discussion board a week, which is just like you just write like a paragraph and you respond to two people. I thought that's super easy. It's really not that big a deal. Like
Yeah.
but yeah, I think I haven't had any stress over any of my assignments at all. A lot of my papers they gave well in advance, so there's no reason for people to really stress about them, because you could always like there was always time to do them. Nothing was really like on the spot. So and for me as like a fourth year psych major, it hasn't been too difficult. And next semester should be even easier because the only reason I'm taking an extra semester actually is for one class,
Oh,
but
really?
because I work here, I have to have a full time schedule, so I have to take three more classes with it. And so I just made them like super easy, just to like get me through my last semester and then like
Can I
grind
can I
like.
ask what you're taking?
So my classes are I'm taking a Soc of Education class, which is the only class I need.
Okay.
So that one actually should be pretty interesting because I'm really
Yeah.
interested in education, and like counseling is like one of the routes I would like to do.
Nice.
Um, I think I'm taking a Rec 201, so it's like recreation. So like the recreation major, it's called Teamwork and Group Dynamics. So I don't
Okay.
think it doesn't sound too stressful.
Yeah.
I'm taking an IO psych class, which is like all about kind of like the HR type area
Okay.
of psychology. And then I am taking a child development studies class. It's like it's a family class. I can't remember, but
Okay.
that's like my last class. So and then like, you go on like the rate my professors and
Yeah.
you check everything to make sure. So I've gotten like top professors right now. So I'm
Nice.
pretty excited. And I only have class Tuesday, Thursday. The other two, like, and there are only two classes. The other two are completely online. You don't even have to check into a Zoom lecture.
Wow.
So I
Way to
am pretty
go, man.
set on having a easy schedule for next
Yeah.
semester, and then yeah, just riding
Honestly,
it out.
I'm glad that you chose classes that are kind of close to your major, like, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
because I could have taken like a some like history of some or art history or something.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
I
I
tried to
think
make
all
it
those classes.
somewhat. Yeah.
Yeah, I think all those classes could definitely help you out. All right, Mario. So you've been talking about your job a lot throughout this interview. Can you please tell us like what your position is and the duties and responsibilities that come with it?
Yeah, so I work as an RA, resident assistant. Pretty sure they have them at like almost every college, but
Yeah.
they're named differently. Student assistant, or residential something. They're basically everywhere. Basically, our job is to build community in the dorms and make people feel like this is like their home, away from home in a sense, while also um, making sure we get down on policy and stuff and make sure that no one's breaking any rules, and basically make sure that everyone's safe and secure.
Okay.
Um, and so in terms of duties and responsibilities, I'll talk a little bit about like what it was like in majority of my career, like my career as an RA, which
Yeah.
is like the past 2 years. Cause I've worked, this is my third year I applied my spring of freshman year.
Oh,
Um, so yeah, basically the way I found out about the job was my RA my freshman year was super cool, and or I had two super cool RAs that were like super open to like educating me on like what I should be doing to get ready, what I shouldn't be doing, like basically don't get in trouble at all, because even like a single scuff on like your like record
uh-huh.
in terms of housing can really like take you down on the list of people they want. And there's like when I applied there were like hundreds of people applying, like hundreds of residents that like wanted the job, because I mean
Yeah.
in terms of like benefits, I get free housing, free meals, a stipend every month. And so
Woof.
it's like
That's a pretty
you
sweet deal, man.
you yeah, you really can't complain. And it was like really appealing to a bunch of people. And so they were trying to get me like ready, because they could see I would literally stay up and be like, hey, like can you just like talk to me like about the job, like what I should know about this interview process. Like I think like coming from like a kid who worked in ASB and like was in all these like leadership positions in like high school, I was like, this is
Uh-huh.
something I really want to do. And like, I really want to save my parents some money, like not having to pay for like housing and stuff like off
Yeah.
campus. And so basically like to get the job, I had to do like a personal statement, get like two letters of rec. Like I felt like I was applying to like school again almost. Like it was
Yeah.
like pretty intense. Like I had to get a letter of rec from a teacher at CSULB, and I had only been there for a semester, and I only knew these people like barely, like from like a semester long. So like I wasn't really like the talkative person in class. I just like going to class and getting my stuff done and like
Yeah.
leaving. Now it's been a little bit easier because I'm like I know a lot of
Uh,
these students and stuff. But yeah.
yeah. Who'd you end up choosing?
And
Like which subject?
I chose my stats professor actually, who
Okay.
I didn't even think really knew me. I was just a kid in the back of the class that got A's, but I guess he could like he saw my work ethic or something and was like cool with like giving me a letter of rec. Which I asked one professor actually, and she denied me, and I was like, that's kind of rude. I mean, it's not like I'm asking for like a college letter of rec, just
Yeah.
like a casual one. She's like, I'm busy right now, sorry. So I was like, I was stressing. It was literally like the week before they were due, and I was like,
Ooh.
I was like, I emailed my stats professor. I was like, hey, I know this is super late notice, but like, I'm applying for this job, and I really need a letter of rec. And then I got one. It was like one from here, and one could be anybody else. So then I got one from
Yeah.
like my high school ASB teacher, who was like someone I'd been with for 4 years, who knew me as a leader and stuff, and she gave me a
Nice.
crazy good one. But yes, and then I had to apply that, and then I got into the interview process, and then they bring you into this 2 day process where after the first day they give you a letter, and then they cut like half the people at the first day, and then
Ooh.
it's like it's basically it's all like acting out how you would act in a certain situation. So they gave you like how would you create an event that would embrace community the best in terms of like study habits, or it's like how would you act in a situation where a resident comes back and you find them with alcohol in their room and you're having a party? Like, what would you do?
Do you
Like,
remember
literally,
your
just like,
answers? Do you remember your answers?
I remember one specifically because I made it up, because that was like, it was like, describe a situation where you felt like in the dorms you've had to deal with an issue of culture and diversity.
Ooh.
And I made it to super, like I apologized to my roommates after, because I said that they were like, I said they were saying these slurs about me, and I had to like create a meeting like that was like it wasn't like anything super serious, but I was saying
Yeah.
like, I just didn't feel comfortable like as a Hispanic, like as a Hispanic male, like I didn't like the words they were saying, I just wasn't okay with. And just
Uh-huh.
I understood that they came from different backgrounds in Huntington Beach, and that they that might be okay in their community, but just realizing that they're not okay to me, and just realizing that it was affecting me. And like I just remember like the people interviewing me like, yeah, like that's because that's basically what they teach us to do, is like whenever there's an issue like that where like
Mhm.
people just aren't like clicking in terms of like community, like they're saying things that are okay where they're from but aren't okay with in terms of other people. Then that's we have to create a meeting, we have to create like a PowerPoint and like really discuss like how we need to make our community more inclusive and how these like things shouldn't happen. So I think that got me a ton of points. And then like I remember creating, you have to do marshmallow activities, and they have to they watch you, they sit with the like a pen and paper, and they sit behind you and watch as a group how you guys like really enact the activity and how you build this marshmallow tower. But they're really seeing like who's
Yeah.
taking lead, who's like assisting in the background, like who's like assigning what. It's like people aren't like too over like exclusive, like you do this, you do that, but like, hey, like who understands this the best, like really like getting everyone's like positives and like bringing them together in a group. So
Yeah.
it was super stressful. And I'd already had like a job at the time. I was working on campus I was working at the game center as someone that like loves games, loves video games. Like
Yeah.
I was like, I love this job. Like it's so cool. Like, so I was like, honestly, if I don't get the job, I won't be too mad. But like, and
Yeah.
they were already like at the other job, they were like, well, we got to train you for this and this so we can get you to this level by next year. Like they wanted me to be a supervisor by the next year. And
Ooh.
I was like, I was like, I don't want to do training because I don't want to make you feel bad if I like get the job. And so it was like
Were
really
they cool with it?
awkward. They were cool. They were like,
Okay.
oh, an RA. Like I think everyone knows that like an RA like on here is like has really good benefits. And so like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
take it. Like if you have the chance, like just let us know how it goes. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I was sad to see like to leave that job because it was like my first real job.
Yeah.
Um, and they were super cool with working with my school hours and stuff, and it was like decent pay. And I got to like hang out and like there was a bowling alley, and so I got to like work on that. And then there was video games that
Cool,
like,
man. You guys got video games and bowling alley? That's
dude, it was
nice.
like it's a whole like, and I'm so sad it's gone right now because I used to go there and like there's pool tables and stuff and like set it up and stuff, and so that's something I kind of miss. But yeah, overall the benefits here are just like way like leaps and bounds over that. But basically, in terms of like what I used to do is that like I would get a floor of residence. I started off at like 20, and then last semester I had 50, and then this semester I only have 12. So it's like
Really?
so it's just like it's ups and downs. Last year I feel like I was definitely at my peak. Like I was super motivated. I loved all my residents. I was building community with all of them. They were really great. First year I was kind of like, when you first kind of like, I was only a sophomore and these were kids were freshmen, so I was kind of like getting too friendly with them,
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't really good at creating boundaries. So nothing too serious, but they would just like tell me too much and be like, hey, like you can't really tell me these things because like I'm your RA, so like just keep it to yourselves, in a
Oh, dang.
sense.
That's
But
good.
I've really learned how to like grow through every situation and like really like set my boundaries and be able to like still like be friends with them, like still offer like mentorship. And then I think my favorite part of the job is like after after the year is over and then I'm able to like really be friends with them because
Yeah.
my one of my first residents has become literally like one of my best friends. Like I talk to him like almost every day. Like
That's cool.
he's super cool. We went to the gym like every day last year.
Nice.
So it's just like that whole is like the biggest like positive for me is just being able to like be friends with people like after the job and just see them grow as like students and as also as people. Because when they're coming in as their first year, I love working with freshmen. That's like the people I like working with the best because they're kind of like, open-eyed. Like once you get older in housing, you kind of don't really want to go to your, you know what kind of personality do you have event or like movie
Yeah.
nights. Like they have like responsibilities, and so there's
Yeah.
not really like really time for them to come out to these events that I'm hosting. And so
Mm-hmm.
freshmen are a lot more fun. They go out to my events and stuff. And so
Yeah. So do you sit down with a group of RAs and kind of come up with events, or is it you that kind of like, okay, like this is what I'm doing for my
it
event?
it used to be more individual
Okay.
because they would just be like based on your floor. You would base like it was open to everyone, but you like place it around like trying to get your floor most involved. But now with COVID and how everyone has been like decreased in numbers, like we have some RAs, like so many students have left already that like some RAs only have like one or two residents or they have zero.
Really?
So it's like really tough to like have them not doing anything while other people like I still have 10 currently. Like I've had 2 leave, and so I already still have 10. So it's like I'm creating events. So now we grouped up a lot of us together to really come together and make these events to find ways to really embrace like all of the college as a whole. Like
Yeah.
we had like an Among Us event where like we had
Oh,
people
that's
like
cool.
set up like a Discord and like we would cut like set up these games to like see like because we don't want people going to different buildings. So that
Mm-hmm.
was just a way to like have them communicate in a sense. But yeah,
Yeah.
back in the day, I used to make my own events. I would work with my partner sometimes because we always have a partner. This year I
Yeah.
have two. It was the first time I've had two partners, but the last couple of years I had one partner. Um, but yeah, it really just depended on like what kind of what month they have like a curriculum they go through, and so we have to follow the curriculum. On the first year was really intense, and they kind of eased up. It was like you had to have a diversity program, you had to have like a community building program, you had to have like
Yeah.
an arts and humanities type. So that was I kind of liked it because it was a lot more easy to just be like, okay, this is what I got to do today. tomorrow, because like I kind of like that outline, but now it's just kind of like, oh, if you want to have like a movie night, like go for it. You want to have like a scavenger hunt, go for it. Um, but yeah, so and in terms of like the hardcore like deeper responsibilities, I mean like we have to do like roommate agreements where it's like they have to agree on things like um what time do you go to bed, like are you going to complain, like so that issues don't happen in the future, like roommates don't come up like he was up all night, he brought his girlfriend over, but yada yada yada, like I try to study, and so we outline those things. And then every week I go on these things called rounds, which are basically we just go through every building and we go through every suite, because our buildings are broken up by suites or buildings and then suites.
Mm-hmm.
So we just go through and swipe through and walk through and just trying to kind of listen and see if we can hear like parties or if we smell weed in that sense. And so basically just always ready to like be ready for any situation. If we could hear a resident like, crying, if I've had residents like crying in that sense, so I still knock and see and make sure they're okay. And so
Yeah.
just ensuring the community is just safe and that everyone's okay. It's been a little bit more difficult this semester because it's a little bit scarier to like really want to go around like wear your mask and like we wear gloves and stuff just to be like perfectly safe, because
Yeah.
you really don't know. We try and tell these like residents not to like hang out and stuff. It's kind of hard to like really enact,
Yeah.
be on top of them at all times. But
Yeah. That's
yeah,
true. So with this next question, I kind of wanted to ask you how you handle, certain situations. Like I don't know if it's you or if like RAs have a certain protocol when it comes to like students like struggling with like depression or like food disorders or just struggling with their
mental
roommates
health
in school.
issues. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I've had a couple instances of this. It's definitely, I think that was like a thing that I was like made it real, the job real for me, is when I had those situations where I was dealing with mental health issues, because you're so used to just like hey, like, all right, this is a party, like just throw out the beer, it's throw out the alcohol. But those are the real situations where it's like you deal with mental health and it's like, wow, like my job here matters. Like I need to be here for these students.
Yeah.
We had a student like who would constantly be suffering from seizures last year, and so we all like at a sense like would have to be ready, like at any point, like if you knew it was happening, like you'd be ready to be like, hey, do you need a hand, like I'm calling paramedics, like we're calling these people, we're getting her friends ready, ready for them to help. Like I've had residents deal with scares in the sense, not to be too clear because of FERPA and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely been eye opening to me. That's why I like from the beginning to make it super open that I am here for them, and like even though I have this title of like RA, like they should never be scared to like talk to me about anything, but I also like make it known that I am a mandated reporter, and so if they tell me things that are too serious, I have to go up. And so
Mm-hmm.
um I've never been too worried about dealing with situations like that. That's also something that we train on at the beginning, really hardcore, just acting the situations out, because that's probably the most intense. Like anyone can really shut down a party if you really come in the right way with a badge. Like no one really cares. They'll know you, like you're there to stop them and stuff. But
Yeah.
being able to be like empathetic and like actively listen to the student. I've gone through the training, um, suicide prevention training,
Mm-hmm.
at a total of like 5 or 6 times at this point. I like I
Really?
the slides are literally like engraved in my head at this point. Like
I bet.
I've seen so many of the same presentation. They're all great. Like I love them because it's really helps when I know like some other people don't understand it as well. So I think it's really cool to get like refreshers. Like I know that Seattle is the safest place, and it's just like there's so many like facts that like come in my head,
Mm-hmm.
that like, so yeah, I feel like we're accurately trained on these things, and it may be difficult because I mean you can never train for like every situation.
It's true.
um so it's always just being able to be open-minded and just be like ready for help. That's what we try and like preach, is like you can always ask for help. Like you always have, we go on like rounds, we always have a pair with us, because we always like, you always should have backup no matter what.
Yeah.
We have phones that we use to call, up on anything, or if we need to call UPD or the paramedics or our supervisors. It's usually just our supervisors directly, and then they direct us to what we need to call next. But yeah, those issues definitely are can be taxing on like RAs as a whole, because if we're
Definitely.
seeing
Yeah.
these things happen, I mean it's pretty public, but when I was my first year, we had lost two residents,
Mm.
and it was just super. Um, it just hurt. It hurt everyone. You could tell like the whole community was hurt because these people that like we felt we could have helped. Right? You feel like you could have done more. Or you could have said one thing, but it's just being able to be like, hey, like you were there for them, and just put your best foot forward and just be there for anyone and at any time, just to be sure that like you see that you're doing your best.
Yeah. Do you guys, as RAs, do you guys have resources that for somebody to talk to? Because I mean that stuff can be very like emotionally taxing.
Yeah. So I know a lot of people. I even advocated for myself for the past 3 years. I've been trying to get us like a psychologist in housing, which
Yeah.
I think would be a great idea. I think every like campus needs one just because of all the mental health issues, especially now with how stressful students can be dealing with the pandemic and with grades and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think that would be a great idea to have because we have CAPS, which is the counseling and psychological services. I think that's what it's
Okay.
called,
Yeah.
on campus. But they become so like it's really common for them to become built up with work
Mm.
that they just stop accepting people, or they'll have like a hotline where you call people, but it's like very short and it's not really like a full session. So
Yeah.
just being or they'll like just refer you to somewhere else. And so
Mm.
I think the biggest thing that needs to happen in these coming years, like especially after the pandemic, is just realizing that mental health is so strong and so big that we need these psychologists in housing, just because we're dealing with thousands of residents, and it's like just to tell them to just come to us. It's like that also is an issue where like people start pretending or like acting like we understand everything. So if they'll come talk to our residents, will come talk to us, like we're not registered psychologists or counselors, like we don't know what to say at every time. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
being able to have someone that we can direct them to would be really helpful. But yeah.
So have you thought about what you will be doing after school?
Yes and no, because so basically this whole like college career, I've been like eyeing the fact of moving on to work in housing and in higher education. So basically, what I'm doing now, but at a higher level.
Okay.
So getting a master's degree in student development, higher education. Here was a big like goal of mine to go right after school. Um, Things change. I definitely got hit hard with reality this year.
Mm-hmm.
I At the beginning of spring when the quarantine first started, I stayed here and worked, and it was really difficult for me for my mental health because I felt like I was alone. I felt like I was really isolated.
Yeah.
I have more resources now, so I'm a lot better, and I got to go home over the summer. But it made me really question like whether I wanted to come back. I actually made like a video about this because it was something that I was like really contemplating for a long time about like, do I want to come back? Like it hurts. Like it's hard. But I just think that I really like opened my eyes to like all these possibilities. Like I think I was like limiting myself because if I would go into SHE, I would enjoy it, but I just think it's the easy route in a sense because I've been doing this for so long that like it was just like, oh well, like this is the next step. Like you go and then basically I would become like a supervisor in housing. So then I would go, and then after you become a supervisor, you become like an AC, which is like the area coordinator, which you oversee like the area. And
Mm-hmm.
while that is like enticing, like I was like, more housing, free housing. I think I need a little bit more time, like being a little bit more independent because I've been so dependent on like housing and like being able to like
Yeah.
being safe, and so this is like the safe route for me. So I think this gap year that I'm gonna take, I finally decided that like I need a gap year. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I I'm gonna get a job. I'm thinking about just getting a quick job, like a job to get money at first when I get back. But I'm gonna be starting looking for jobs early next year, like so I can come back and hopefully have a position, whether it be either an internship, um, or work experience. Something that I've been super interested in is like how like like excited and motivated I get about technology and about like the gaming organization, how and
Yeah.
esports and stuff, and how that's growing, and how these gamers are actually dealing with mental health issues. And so that's something where I've been like, well, that's also an avenue that I thought would be really cool, is like being able to be like a psychologist for gamers in a sense, and where I understand like their issues they're going through, and like that would also lead to like the social media type. I've done like papers on this where like social media has become such a big big issue in terms of mental health and people comparing themselves. And so I just feel like I have so much more that I like want to like take a step back and really just like open my eyes to like everything other than like try and just like keep myself in this bubble just on this path. And yeah, I just need a little bit more experience outside before I commit to a master's, because I mean master's degrees aren't cheap, you know.
Yeah,
And I want to make sure I'm choosing the right program before I
definitely,
just dive right in, you know. So
definitely. I I like how you recognize, your potential and what you want to get into. I also like how you're kind of like almost like looking at yourself and saying like, it just kind of just feels like a safe route. Maybe I want to do something else. So I think that's good. That's good. What do you call it? Like self realization or something like that.
yeah,
Does Long Beach have any like career resources, like a career center or like internship opportunities?
they do. They have a lot of like it's like career development center, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
Where you can go in, like they help you with like grad applications or like looking for jobs and stuff. And so I was actually looking at utilizing that like in the coming months to
Mm.
really like get unfortunately a lot of the jobs are like located directly here. And so
Okay.
with moving back to school or back home, it might be a little difficult to really utilize those resources. But I
Definitely.
still feel like the people there are going to be able to like point me in the right path and just like what I should do. Or, like just
Mm-hmm.
being able to like be open to like experience. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of like okay with the fact of like not being okay, like not being like super set up, which I
Yeah.
felt for the past like however 21 years I've been like on this set plan where I go to school, like even in school I was super involved. I really never took any breaks. Here I've had work in school where I've like really never like gone out, and I didn't join any frats. I didn't join in like any clubs. Like I didn't really, it was mainly just work in school. And so
Yeah.
I'm kind of like ready to just be like, just take a deep breath and just like kind of reset in a sense. I'm hoping to actually move out eventually with some friends once I get back. Obviously, get a get a piece of like get a good amount of money before I move out and just be like financially stable before then.
Yeah.
But because I never had that experience either, it's something that like a lot of my friends have, were like living with their friends and like
Yeah.
um being on their own in a sense. And I've just been kind of like, while I still like live with my friends technically, because like all my coworkers are my friends, it's not the same, it's not like that like that situation. So I've been talking to my boss about this a lot, because I've just been kind of like, he'd be like, oh, how's grad school apps? And I'm like, I don't think I'm doing them. I don't think I'm ready. I don't think I can't. I always know I can come back to this like path if I wanted to. I have the experience. I know what to say. I know what to do. Like
Yeah.
I have the degree, a psych degree in housing is great. I mean, a lot of people above me have psych degrees, especially with the social minor. Like I know I have the resources necessary if I ever wanted to come back, but just taking a break to still keep looking. So yeah.
See, nice, man, nice. So on to my last question. This is kind of like the most important question, and especially with my idea, I wanted to ask you: Is Cal State University Long Beach worth it?
Okay, so I remember what I put, and I think it goes both ways.
Mm-hmm.
I want to preface this by saying every student should. I mean, it's difficult now, obviously with COVID, but
Yeah.
I think traveling to the school is really important. Um, I came to Cal State San Marcos. That was the first school I went to, and I was like, this is it. This is the school. Like, I went through all the stores. I was like, wow, like I could see myself here. Like, this is it. Like, Mark's here. Like, I have friends here. Like,
Yeah.
hopefully, like if I grind hard enough, I might be able to make the team like on a whim. Like, if I really like push myself. But then I was like, for some reason, I was like, I got into Cal State Long Beach, and that was my number one pick originally. But I was like, like I got Cal State San Marcos. Like, that's a better choice. And then my mom was like, how about we just drive out there, just see if you like it, see like how you like the area. We drove out here. I stepped on the campus. No meme, no nothing. I literally remember like literally being like, this is my school. Like, this is where I need to be. Like, I don't know what
Yeah.
it was. Like, it just clicked in my head. I was like, I for so long I've lived like in like this group setting where like I've always needed other people, but this
Yeah.
school I didn't know anyone. It was an
Mm-hmm.
hour away from home, not too crazy, so it was good distance. And I was like, I can meet new people, live near the beach. I love the beach. I love Disneyland. Like these are the places. I got a Disneyland pass. I had a Disneyland pass for like the first 2 years of my school. Like I was able
Nice.
to go back and forth to Disneyland. It was
That's
like,
awesome.
and so I was like, I was seeing everything. It was like I saw like my future here, and it was like,
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing about where you go to school or where you should go to school, is that like you shouldn't listen to what anybody else says. You shouldn't listen to like what the society, what norms tell you. Like you
Yeah.
need to go to a UC. Also, a big thing for me is that this school is one of the top Cal States in the system. And you know, for me, being able to someone who really cares about like finance and stuff, I didn't want to go to UC, you know. All my life I was like, I'm gonna go to UCLA, UC something, UC Santa Barbara was my top choice. I was like, you know, and then I started looking at prices and I was like, do I really need a degree from there? If I really, what matters is the master's degree at this point, or like where you get
Yeah.
that from. And so
Yeah.
those cogs were all turning in my head as a senior, and I was like, I don't think I want to spend all this money, you know. I have this thing where I think a lot about the future, and so I was like, you know, my parents are gonna have my brother in a little bit, a year, couple, having to graduate him, having to send him to college. Like, I don't want them stressing about that, and so all those things were turning my head. But in terms of my experience here, I've had a great experience. Like I said before, it is a commuter school, so that's something that turns you off. You know, obviously to each their own. But
Hmm.
I think, you know, living in housing your first year is really influential about just meeting new people, being able to find those groups. I know a lot of the frats here, people that are like, oh, we don't really have a frat or a sorority like ecosystem, but I know a lot of the guys have tons of fun. You know, meet great people. I know a lot of them. They're all super good guys, super good girls that I know in sororities. They're all super dope people
Uh-huh.
that also have that like college experience. It's not my like forte. I'd rather just kick it with friends. But if that's something you're into, then that's always an option. Like it's not that difficult here, which I think is also something that people say. Um, but yeah, I just think overall, like this school is just like it's really like a next step for me. Like it's really like a it was great for what it was. It there was no issues. Like I never had um, any issues with the area or like any classes. All my professors were pretty solid. Like I never had like those horror stories where I had a terrible professor.
Hmm.
Um, I think that's something too. The class sizes were also pretty accountable. Like a lot of people talk about like I have hundreds of people in my classes. My class sizes are pretty small, so you felt like the professors actually could like know you and get to know you.
Yeah.
Once you get past those first year classes, like where it's like the big like histories or the calculus and stuff, you get into more of like the cohort ish like classes where you get to know the people in your major and you're getting to
Nice.
know these
Yeah.
people. Yeah. So I think for me, I would definitely recommend this school to anyone. I think it also people should just like understand like pick their major and then look at what schools have the best for their major. But for me, the psych program has been amazing. I know we have a great volleyball program. If you're in volleyball, that's super fun to watch when it's actually in season.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'd recommend this school to anyone. It doesn't get the hype that it deserves. I feel like if we had like a underrated type of tier list on terms of colleges, I feel like we'd definitely be at the top. But yeah,
I see. Well said. Well said. No, I've heard a lot of good things about Long Beach State. Um, so much that's like, I see people in like higher positions and like I was like, all right, where they graduate from, and they come from Long Beach. So I hear a lot of good things about the school, man. And I wish, I don't know, at my high school, I wish they would have kind of like, maybe like pushed it a little bit more. Then maybe I would have like considered and definitely like visited the school, um, but yeah, it's all good. Hopefully, this will definitely help with like incoming students, especially with trying to figure out like what a school is like. So that's why I'm like kind of doing this idea, and I really thank you, Mario, for doing this interview with me, man.
yeah. I hope everyone got something out of it. I hope I didn't ramble too much. I hope you actually took a little bit of pieces from it. And yeah, if you know, go Beach always. We're the Sharks now, so go Sharks.
Oh, really? You guys changed mascots or something?
Yeah, so we just shifted. We're actually the Sharks. So
What,
yeah,
what were you guys before?
we were the 49ers, and
Oh,
that comes with a lot of controversy. So we
I
just
see.
decided, you know, Sharks is a lot more like when we live near the beach, Sharks. So that was pretty. We
Cool.
and I got to vote on it, so now I can say that I voted on our mascot. However long
Yeah,
it lasts,
yeah.
I can say I impacted the history of Long Beach State. So yeah,
Cool, man. Well, thank you. Thank you for doing this interview with me.
yeah. Thank you.